Chapter 6, Sticky Note Lecture. Alright, so this chapter is called Species Interactions and Community Ecology. The case study is about zebra mussels. Now, this is a very, very important case study because the AP test loves to ask about zebra mussels. They are the most famous invasive species in America. So what in the world are zebra mussels and what are invasive species? Well, zebra mussels are water mussels that are native to Western Asia and Eastern Europe. How they got to North America was they arrived on big ships who discharged their ballast water with larvae. That was the zebra mussel larva. This happened in the Great Lakes because the Great Lakes have an outlet to the Atlantic Ocean. And ballast water is water that boats have in their bodies, in their holes, to help balance the boat, I think. I'm not a boating person, so I might be wrong on that one. So the larvae hatched, and they reproduced quickly. So the zebra larvae spread very quickly throughout the Great Lakes and other lakes in the United States by attaching to boats like water ski boats. And then they're attached to these boats, and then they're pulled on the land behind trailers to another lake. So as boats were moved from lake to lake, the zebra mussels would attach, and they could survive being dry for a little while, and then get, again, pulled from lake to lake. Or if a boat didn't empty its ballast water, it could take larvae with it. Kind of interesting, there was a news article this summer about Castaic Lake, how they were inspecting the boats before they were allowed to go in Castaic Lake. They were inspecting the boats for zebra mussels because they didn't want zebra mussels to infect and invade Castaic Lake. Now, why are these zebra mussels a problem? Well, they do several things. Here are the problems with zebra mussels. Here you can see that they're clogging a pipe. Now, these are intake pipes. As water, a lot of the cities that surround the Great Lakes, like Chicago, Illinois, they have pumps that pump water from the Great Lake into water treatment plants. They clean the water, and that's people's drinking water. It's from the lake. So the zebra mussels clog those pipes, and it causes a lot of damage. The zebra mussels have no natural predators that eat them. They do in Europe, where they come from, Eastern Europe, but they have no natural predators here in the United States. Nothing controls its population at its carrying capacity. They foul fishing gear, and they sink buoys because so many of them attach to the buoys that the buoys sink. It's too heavy. You can see here that they're suffocating the native clams that are supposed to live there. These mussels cost the Great Lake region and other lakes around the country $100 million a year. They also deplete the phytoplankton because they eat too much of it, and these are phytoplankton that are necessary for a healthy ecosystem balance. And then you can again see from this picture that they're suffocating native mollusks, and a clam is a type of mollusk. Alright, the book talks about species interactions, and the different types of species interactions are featured here. Mutualism, commensalism, predation, parasitism, herbivory, neutralism, amensalism, competition. Positive or negative, or zero means it's neutral effect on species 1 and 2. We have different types of competition your book goes over. Interest-specific means within its own species they will compete. Like coyotes will fight over, a dead bunny or something like that. Interspecific is competition with other species. So coyotes will compete with mountain lions for food. Make sure you know the difference. Competitive exclusion is when you have one species that is so better adapted, maybe they're bigger numbers, maybe they're stronger, it completely excludes another from the resource entirely. Sometimes species don't want to compete directly because it takes a lot of energy and time to compete directly. So they practice something called species coexistence, where they live side by side, and it minimizes competition by using something called a realized niche instead of fundamental. So a fundamental niche, for example, species 1 is this area dotted line that represents all of the niche that species 1 could occupy. But instead, because of competition from species 2 and 3, it only occupies this area. And that's an example of species coexistence. The definition of a niche is kind of an species role in an ecosystem. Its job, what food it eats, where it lives, how it utilizes water and other resources. That's called its niche. We have, again, two types, realized and fundamental niche. Make sure you know the difference between those two for a test. On the next page shows a picture of resource partitioning. A lot of times, species like these birds will purposely eat different foods. Even though they could eat all varieties, they will eat different kinds of things, and you can read the pictures to see that, and it avoids direct competition. Again, direct competition, fighting for resources, is harmful to species because it takes a lot of energy that they need for survival. Energy to do other things that they need for survival, like find food and water and shelter and breed. Alright, we have this lovely snake here eating a toad, and this is under the title Predators Kill and Consume Prey. Predation is where you hunt, capture, kill prey immediately. Parasitism, however, is when one species harms another without killing them immediately. A parasite wants to live and feed off of another species for a long time before it kills it. For example, a tapeworm in your body is a parasite. It might kill you eventually through malnutrition, but it will take several weeks, several months to do that. Whereas a predator will hunt, kill, and eat immediately. The bottom of page 153 shows predator and prey populations cycling together. So what this means is that when the population of prey goes up, right immediately following that, the population of predator goes up. Because when there's an abundance of food, you can reproduce and make more babies. So let's say there was a big rainy season, produced a lot of grass and seeds for this hare, this rabbit. So it produced a lot of babies, and the population went up. Well, now the lynx, which is a cousin of a bobcat that lives further north, like by Canada, this lynx then can eat a lot of bunnies and produce a lot more lynx babies, so its population goes up. But eventually there's a lot of lynxes out there and kill and eat too many hares, so the hare population drops. And then the lynx can't find any food, so they die off and their population drops. And so over time you'll see a cyclical pattern. Predator and prey populations cycle together. They go up, and then the other one goes up, then the other one goes down, and the other one goes down. And then up, and down, and down. Turning the page to 154, we have these pictures of different types of mechanisms for prey to avoid predation. We have cryptic coloration. A lot of times students will write the word camouflage. That's what you have learned in the past, but please call it cryptic coloration from now on. Warning coloration means, hey, I'm poisonous, don't eat me. And that would be like a bright blue color. Mimicry means that you look like something else. A snake that's harmless might rattle its tail pretending it's a rattlesnake to scare off predators. make sure you know the names of each of these. Cryptic coloration, warning coloration, mimicry. Make sure you know these names and be able to describe them for a possible free response question. Make sure you know these terms. Parasitoid is an insect parasite on another insect. Wasps are a good example. Wasps will eat other insects. In fact, we have a wasp called a braconid wasp. You'll learn about that later, that farmers release into their fields to eat and kill and cause harm to other insects that would eat farmers' crops. The word herbivory is when animals eat plants. So it's basically a kind of predation. We usually think of predation as being animals eating animals. But when animals eat plants, we call it herbivory. Plants defend themselves against this using thorns, poison, and sometimes they let ants grow all over their plants because ants taste bad. And so these plants may want the ants to kind of run all over themselves so that they won't be eaten. Because if you've ever accidentally eaten an ant that was on a piece of food and it got in your mouth, ants are really bitter. They taste bad. So that is a defense mechanism as well. That'll end part 1 of the sticky note lecture. Click on part 2 for the remaining part of chapter 6.